one of the major controversies that's coming down the past few days is a revelation that Malia Schneider, who
I
has
knew
been
you were going
dead
to get to
for
this.
a little while.
I knew.
Malia Schneider, some enterprising journalist discovered a interview that she gave before she died, very young. I think it's something like 57, where she reveals that the scene in Last Tango in Paris with Marlon Brando, raping her, was actually sprung on her without her consent. That she said she felt raped and felt well. She continued a relationship with Marlon Brando as a friend for years, and Brando himself also said that he felt damaged by that movie as well, and they unearthed the 2013 interview with Bernardo Bertolucci, where he says that he doesn't feel regret for doing the scene, but he does feel guilty about it. And Schneider, characterized him as a fat, sweaty person who who violated her, basically, and now everybody's coming down on Bertolucci. Now, my opinion of Last Tango in Paris is a minority, particularly amongst film lovers, hardcore film lovers, in that it's really not my thing. I recognize the quality of the performance and the photography and the direction and all that stuff, but it's not my deal, and I don't really like it. It's not my cup of tea. But everybody's coming down on the fact that Bertolucci and Brando conspired to do the scene, which wasn't in the script, and decided to spring it on her in order to get a more realistic reaction from her. I would not advocate scenes of rape being done in this way for movies. I mean, there's been tons of rapes in movies, particularly in the 70s. It seemed to be like a rape fest in the 70s. But like, I would hope that, like, for instance, Sam Peckinpah didn't do that with the girl in Straw Dogs or something like that, or Clint Eastwood. I hope Clint Eastwood didn't spring the rape that Sandra Locke has to go through on her in The Gauntlet. However, there have been plenty of people who have been put through horrible things in order to get a realistic or even just the required performance from them. I mean, let's just take, for example, William Friedkin almost breaking Ellen Burstyn's back in a special effects shot for The Exorcist in the same movie. When they were trying to do the final scene with the priest giving the final rites to Jason Miller after he falls down the stairs. They have all these people in the middle of the night, a crew of 100 or however many it was, sitting around waiting for him to be able to get the right emotion. Well, he was a non-actor. This priest was a non-actor. He was an actual priest, and he could not get up to snuff. And so what did Friedkin do? He hauled off and slapped the shit out of him. And then they said, roll the film, block, got it. There have been stuntmen who have been killed and maimed. There have been Judy Garland, who in order to get down to the right size in for Wizard of Oz, playing a younger version, a younger child than she really was. Had to get on drugs in order to lose the weight, which affected the rest of her life. There have been tons of things, this is only a few examples of the kinds of things that directors have to do when there's a crew standing behind you and money is ticking away every second, and you can't get that shit that you need for the movie, or else the movie's going to die. It's not only going to die an artistic death; it's going to die a business death as well. I mean, at least in terms of you hope that you're making the best movie you can possibly make. So this whole idea of, are we really going to go back in the past and demonize those filmmakers that did certain things in order to get their movie made that may not have been very ethical but were effective? I just don't, think that should be done. Because if it is done, what we're talking about is returning the film culture to year zero. In other words, no other movies. We can only enjoy the movies that come from a time of extreme political correctness, which is now. And all other movies that came from another time where this political correctness did not exist are shit and should be avoided at all costs. I think that some people out there, particularly millennials, actually believe this.
I believe they believe that, yeah.
I think that they think I cannot watch these old movies because the fuckers are sitting around smoking all of the time, and that just offends me. Or it's the movies are reflecting a sexist atmosphere. Well, yes, they do. I guess.
I agree with you, Dean. I think that's part of the problem. It doesn't start with millennials. It starts before this, but. Yeah, I mean, they're to blame too. I mean, because they've amplified it to ways that, God, whoever thought. If we told this shit in school, we couldn't read this stuff because of the trigger warnings or whatever, or safe spaces. Our fathers would have beaten the living shit out of us. I'm being facetious when I say that. The idea that we can't read this because there's rape in it, you would have been gotten the shit beat out of you.
I mean, hell, I was given a list of books to choose from to report on in high school, and the one that I chose was In Cold Blood, which remains my favorite book now.
I mean,
but that's a book that probably wouldn't be put on the list now, because they're afraid of it. I mean, and this idea that you're afraid of these things, but yet you go. Like this is a generation that also loves horribly violent movies. Horribly violent movies. They love them because I don't know. It's pushing some kind of buttons that haven't been pushed before, and so they dig it. And but yet it's okay to shit on a movie like Last Tango in Paris, which again is a movie I don't like.
Right,
but
right.
It is considered a great movie by a lot of people, and I don't know. I'm just I'm tired of the mining of the past, and frankly, this journalist that came up with this thing is working for an outlet that wants clicks. And this is the way to do it. Is to turn up some kind of controversy.
And the headline just speaks to that because I mean it's a complete mischaracterization of what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes it sound like he raped her.
Mm-hmm.
He penetrated her and raped her on set. And even
what they're saying is that she was raped by the stick of butter.
There was no penetration at all. The stick of butter was essentially it was there for for show and for the suggestion of that. Even Malia Schneider says, no sex happened at all on Last Tango in Paris. There wasn't any of that, because there's always the rumors of real sex and Don't Look Now or Last Tango, and all the actors say, no, that never happens. It's a make-believe. She was just surprised by the fact that they incorporated the butter in the scene. Right. And she was probably haunted by it, because forever after she was known as the chick that Marlon Brando lubricated with butter. And that's not something that any actress wants to be known by.
I mean, she did.
Last Tango in Paris is one of my all-time favorite movies. And at first, I was thinking, was there? Are they saying that there was actual rape in the movie? And then I quickly realized, no, they're making a lot of hooey over something that really isn't an issue. But you have people like Jessica Chastain and Laurie now that say that they're going to throw away their copy of Last Tango in Paris, and it's it's disgusting and all that kind of stuff. And
by the way, hey, you guys, Jessica Chastain and Laurie, well, just go ahead and throw away all the rest of your movies too.
Yeah, I mean, can I say? I think something needs to be said here that hasn't been said the last couple of years. When we're talking about political correctness and what we have a problem with, it's this type of political correctness that we have a problem with. This kind of thing that you have to go, like Dean, you were saying earlier, that we have to go use the whipping boy at Last Tango in Paris, that somehow this was wrong at the time. I think there needs to be something that point needs to be. We're not talking about political correctness where, we want to go back and calling black people the N-word or that sort of thing. I think that needs to be, but that needs to be pointed out, because I think we're lumping in. No, we're talking about this thing of safe spaces and trigger warnings and what's going on in college campuses, and exactly what this Last Tango in Paris.
That shit is anti-culture, anti-education, anti-knowledge.
There should be a distinction here, because there is a difference between political correctness and a clear violation of someone's human rights taking place.
Yes.
I'd like to know if she knew she was doing a rape scene that day, and the only surprise was the butter, because that's my understanding. Now, if she didn't know she was doing a rape scene, and Marlon Brando pushes her down and holds her down, and then gets out the butter, that might be a little bit different. That feels like a lot more of a violation. But if it's just inserting a prop, inserting's the wrong word. If it's just bringing in,
God damn it,
just bringing in a different prop.
Out of that word?
Yeah, whatever it is, the average person is going to take this as she was raped in the movie. Like, whether they read a lot of people don't even read the shit, so they just read the headline. And then also, does this mean we're going to throw away all of Bernardo Bertolucci's movies, just like a lot of people want to do with Woody Allen's movies and with
I agree.
With Roman Polanski's movies?
Yeah.
Talk about trying to just the scorched earth policy of just let's just shit on the past. Let's shit on all of it. All of it, because we hated those fuckers. Yeah, They're the ones that created this shit that we're going through now. So let's shit on the past.
Yeah, I agree, guys, with you, because this is the problem. So we're gonna go ahead and say. This, and when someone like Jessica Chastain and Laurie start saying this stuff, talk about moronic things to say. We're going to throw out our Last Tango in Paris. Come on, it's Bertolucci. Are we going to, like you said, Dina, we're going to shit on all Bertolucci? Are we going to shit on all Woody Allen? It's
are we going to start shitting on? Are we going to start shitting on Alfred Hitchcock because Tippi Hedren says that he leaned in for a kiss when she didn't want it?
Yeah, that I think that this is a very important conversation to have or to start, because this is what we talk about when we talk about political correctness.
Yes.
This is what we're talking about. This is where it just becomes unbearable.
I do think it's different. I do think it's different from political correctness, because political correctness could be saying you should not dramatize rape in any sense in a movie. That's the politically correct argument. This
Right.
argument is about, was this woman actually violated?
Yes.
And, I don't think that, everything I know about it says no.
Right.
But maybe I'm wrong, but did she know she was doing a rape scene? That's what it comes down to for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it wasn't written in the script, was it supposed to go someplace else? And he told Marlon Brando, pin her down, like rape her. Did she absolutely not know? And that's different from rape, but it is a violation of sorts. It is taking advantage of a young woman in a very kind of sensitive way, and that's distasteful. But
Right,
the movie
right.
itself. The movie itself was never about butter and rape to me, but I guarantee a lot more people are going to watch it now. Sick as that sounds.
Yeah, I mean that's probably true. But as far as Malia Schneider goes, she went to she had of course she became a star in the early 70s and very young, and she didn't have the greatest career, first of all. I mean, the only other notable movie she did was Antonioni's Passenger, and
that's right. Yeah.
And she she turned down a lot of roles that she regretted, and but she was also besotted by many drug and alcohol problems, and she wasn't particularly ready at that young age to be famous in that way, and
Right.
I'm sorry for her for that, but as far as it's just this whole controversy has just got me so angry because. I just believe that, I wouldn't want her to be raped for the scene. I don't think that's a proper way to do a rape scene.
Right.
But
yeah.
it's not. I mean, however, there are a lot of people who, as I said, there are a lot of film workers who things have happened to them. Making movies is incredibly difficult. You have to have an iron will to do it, and sometimes it might involve compromising somebody's personal human rights to do it.
Yeah, and I don't think
I
don't think this is what that was. I because he did not penetrate her in any way. Just like in the scene afterwards where she clips her nails, and then he tells her to stick her hand up his ass. She didn't really do that.
Right.
It's not the definition of rape. It might have been a violation of some kind of her dignity, which some people would argue is a form of rape. But in terms of the official quote unquote definition of rape, no. The Last Tango is not it's not a smut film. It's a film of ideas and a film of character and what role sex has in shaping identity and how we express our torments in life and our innocence in life through sex. So I've never liked the controversy surrounding Last Tango because it paints it in a smutty portrait like it's some kind of inside deep throat kind of thing, which it's not. But no more information's needed. Anyway, great conversation.
Yes.